Question 51. So here the interviewer is trying to understand, do you know that if there is an integration between Outlook meetings and communication within Teams? So how does Teams integrate with Outlook for meetings and communication? So first, let's populate the talking points. So first you can tell that, hey, you can schedule meeting from Outlook or you can schedule meeting from Teams. If you schedule meeting from Outlook, you can use the Teams meeting add-in. So most of the time organizations automatically deploy that add-in. So when you schedule a meeting, it automatically has all the ingredients for a Teams meeting, like the joining link, conference bridge details, things like that. So you can click on join Teams meeting, that plugin or the button on top of the invite itself to join the meeting. So you don't have to log in or open the message to click on the link. So it is automatically done. So that's the first point. You can schedule meetings from Outlook and you can do that. Second point is you can synchronize calendar events. So your Teams calendar syncs with your Outlook calendar for easy meeting management. So if you look at it, both will have the same sort of a feeling in terms of the calendar. The third is you can send emails to Teams channel. So if you want to not add any content by typing it in the channel, but if you have an update which you want to automatically update it in the channel, you can email that to the channel. So that will be automatically populated. So let me see if I can show a couple of this. So first let me show the calendar. So when you click on the calendar, you can see this is the calendar. If I launch my Outlook, since I don't have a meeting, the calendar will look blank. But if I go and create a meeting and invite someone, and you can see that there is an option to automatically add the Teams. This is the plugin I talked about, the add-on. So you don't have to necessarily put in the details for the team meeting. So you click on send. So now the other recipient, when they receive the invite, when they go and open the meeting invite, they can see the details of the bridge. So they can either join by clicking on this link, or during the time or closer to the meeting, they will have a join button on top of this invite itself. That's how you can use this option. Second, when you have meetings, it will be automatically synchronized over to your Teams as well. So now the same meeting what we created in Outlook here on 26th, if I come to my Teams, you can see that there is another meeting invite. So this is what I talked about. You can click on this join button. It automatically opens the Teams meeting option and you can join the meeting. The next is the emailing option. So if you want to email something to the channel, you can click on this ellipsis for the channel and you can click on get email address. So that gets you an email address. Now if you go to your Outlook and you want to forward this and the content, I say forward. Oh, it didn't copy. This is the email address. You can see who can view it. Anybody can send addresses to this. Anybody can send information to this email address. So when you click on save and I copied it, now if I go back to my Outlook and I try to put this and click on send, now technically it should like put that information in the channel, because that's how emailing information into the channel. Now if I go back to the Teams channel, I think I copied this. Let's see how long it takes. Oh, I got a undeliverable message. Let me copy one more time. Click on get email address, or let me go to the general channel. Let me go to my company, click on general channel, click on get email address, and let's copy this email address and let's see if it works this time. So technically this is all you have to do. Just forward this email to this particular email address and it should ideally put that content, whatever it is there in the content, in that particular channel. Right, so you can see that now in the general tab that is been automatically added. I just forwarded it, but you can see if I click on see more, that was the email content. So how do you answer this question? Make sure you have all of these points laid out. You can schedule meeting from the Outlook. You can synchronize the calendar on both Teams and Outlook, and you can send emails to Teams via channel. So that's how the integration work between the Outlook meetings and communication within Teams. Let's look at question number 52. A remote employee, maybe that's a keyword, a remote employee has poor internet connectivity but still needs to join Teams meeting. What are the options available? So here, the interviewer is trying to test your knowledge in terms of, do you know what are the meeting options a user can use in terms whenever they go through a poor internet connectivity, things like that. So let's see if I am able to help you. Let me populate the points first. All right. First, you can let the interviewer know that, hey, there is an option to join via phone dial in. So if they don't want to use their device for the poor internet connectivity, they can join from phone, or they can dial into a number which is available in the meetings as well. So sometimes you don't want to open the whole Teams platform with the video, audio, things like that. You can directly dial in with a number. So usually when you schedule a meeting, so let me see if I can quickly show you that. When you schedule a meeting, if you go to your Outlook and go to meetings, open a particular meeting, you can see that there is a dial-in number available. So you can use that number and the pin to join that particular meeting. So if it is poor network connectivity, that is one option. Second, you can use the low bandwidth mode. So that is nothing but you can turn off your video and use audio only mode to reduce the bandwidth usage. So if it is related to internet connectivity, that should resolve the problem. You can have an audio conversation but turn off the video feed. The third is enabling the background blur. So when you do the video conferencing, you can pretty much show your face and whatever you want to show through the camera. That actually takes in a lot of details from your background as well. So when you turn on the background blur or low resolution video, it helps reduce the bandwidth consumption, because it doesn't have to translate all the background information apart from your face as well, other things in the background. So that can help. The fourth point you can use is access meeting transcript later. So this is not an ideal scenario. What if somebody is telling, hey, I have to join this meeting, there is no other way I can get that is not recorded? Then the fourth option is not valid. But you can say that, hey, because of low bandwidth, if you can't join, make sure to tell them to record it, so you can either watch the recording later when you have access to that, or if you get access to the transcript, because you can enable transcript, which takes the transcription, so you can access the meeting transcript. It's basically a file to read about it. If you have Copilot, it's even better. So you can use the transcript to ask question on top of it, to get reasoning over it, to ask intelligent question, to get anything to know about all the conversation they had during the meeting. So that's how I would frame the answer, to keeping all of these points in mind. Low bandwidth, you can join via dial-in, or use the low bandwidth mode, or enable background blur, or low resolution video, or access the meeting transcripts later. I just noticed there was a spelling mistake. I just corrected it. Low bandwidth. It was not OW. Question number 53. What are the different types of Teams meetings, and when should you use each of them? So I kind of mentioned about this couple of times. There are different types of meetings, like the audio, the video, the town halls, the live meetings, things like that. So let me populate the answer and take you through each one by one, so you know how to answer this question. All right. The first, you can use the scheduled meeting. That is what I showed you before. Like, you go and create a meeting and you schedule it on a particular time and date, and you put down the recipe and you send it. The second is instant meeting. That is like you click on a user. So let me see if I can show you that quickly. So if you go to the chat and you click on a user, and you can click on this instant meet button, like you can immediately call the user, a video call or an audio call. That's like an instant meeting. That also give you an ability to meet a person immediately, instant meeting. Then we have live meeting. These are the one which I said, the town halls and live meetings, to broadcast to a large set of audience. And webinars are like an interactive meeting with an attendee and things like that. So I have prepared a comparison, or the data sheet gives you more granular detail. So the scheduled meetings are planned in advance with a set time and who is the attendees. So these could be use case or regular team meetings, client calls, etc. Instant meeting is ad hoc meeting, which you start instantly from a chat or a channel. So you can do the same thing what I did in the chat on the channel as well. You go to the channel, click on meet now. It automatically calls an immediate call to all the people which is part of the channel. So these are for quick discussion or urgent collaboration. Then we have live events and town halls. These are especially used for broadcasting to a large set of audience with limited interaction. So you probably mute everyone. You probably enable the Q&A panel so that they can ask the question in the Q&A panel rather than in the chat, so it is not buzzing all the time. So this is widely used for webinars or company-wide announcements. Then we have webinars. These are interactive meeting with attendee registration. So you can collect the information from the user, the email address, and few other things, which can be used for any sort of demonstration, pre-sales calls, or training conversation, things like that. So make sure you talk about these four things. Definitely include that aspect in the answer, and like pick up few points from all the things what I mentioned here when you answer these sort of question. Let's look at question number 54. A particular department, this time it's an HR department, want to host a company-wide town hall meeting where employees can watch but not speak. So I kind of talked about it just before. And what is the best way to do it? So if you understood the previous question, you immediately will be able to answer this question. So in the previous question, I talked about different types of meeting. One of the meeting I told is specifically catered towards broad audience. So that is a live event or town hall. So what the HR team can do is they can schedule a live event. They can choose who is the presenter and who is the producer. And the presenter are the one who is actually going to share the content and speak. The producer is the one who is going to control the event stream, and they could be the one who is looking into the Q&A panel or looking into answering the question or facilitating other aspect of the meeting. But the presenter is the one who is just going to focus on speaking and sharing and talking about the content. So you can do that. And finally, you can enable the Q&A part. So that allows employees to ask question, and you as a producer will be able to moderate the question. You can answer the question, and then you can publish it for all the attendees on the call, or you can publish it for a specific person or respond back to that person as well. So make sure you understand these things. But first and foremost, you understand the previous question, the question 53, that talks about different meeting, and this one particularly talk about the live event or town hall meeting for larger audience. Question number 55. So here the interviewer is trying to understand your knowledge in terms of security and compliance features of Microsoft Teams. So it is asking, hey, what security and compliance features does Microsoft Teams offer to protect organizational data? So they are focused on the data that could be either the video file, audio file, transcript, any information you share within the Teams platform. It could be anything. So what are the talking points you can use? First, you can basically talk about, you can sprinkle in or you can bring the multi-factor authentication anywhere whenever they talk about security. I can't stress this enough, because when you have multi-factor authentication, it requires the user to verify and identify with an additional security mechanism. It could be biometric, it could be fingerprint, it could be a authenticator app, it could be a phone call, it could be a text message. So that prevent anybody else from accessing. That's a security and compliance feature. Second, as a company, you can define or set policies called data loss prevention policies, which prevents sensitive information like credit card information or other sort of PII data from being shared outside. So you can put in controls in place. It can automatically detect these sensitive information, and before they share that document or a file, it blocks them from doing it while attaching a label or things like that. The next is retention policies. So retention policies define how long a message and files are stored before deletion. So if you have sensitive content which you want to purge quite fast, so you can create a retention policy and apply to a container or on a file level or like a type level. And if you define like, hey, we are only retaining the data for 7 days, beyond 7 days, any sort of information within that container or whatever you mentioned will be automatically deleted. Or you can set it other way as well. So if you want to retain a particular sensitive document or a type of file or a configuration for a long duration, like probably for 7 years or 15 years, then you can define that as well. It will prevent that information from deleting and moving away from your organization. The last but not the least is the e-discovery and legal hold or litigation hold. This allows organization to retain messages for any sort of legal and compliance reasons. So some organization might have some auditing happening once in a while. Some auditor comes and asks for certain information, and they can activate this e-discovery and legal hold to go and scan through the messages and give the proof of that data. So that is where the e-discovery and legal hold work. I hope you get enough talking points here to talk about how you can effectively use security and compliance features in the Microsoft Teams to protect your organizational data. Question number 56. Here, the interviewer is trying to understand, do you know about restriction and file sharing within Microsoft Teams? The question is, an IT admin need to restrict guest users from sharing files in Microsoft Teams. What settings should they configure? So let me populate the answer first. Right, so these are the talking points you can use to frame this answer. First, you can modify the external sharing settings in Teams Admin Center. So like I showed you, the external sharing settings for OneDrive and SharePoint. Similarly, there's a Teams Admin Center. I don't want to open that because it is a little highly technical than SharePoint and OneDrive. So, but you just need to know that there are options where you can disable or limit the guest access to files. So if you enable that, the guest users will not be able to access file, or they can partly access it or restricted access. So you know that that is possible, and that is being done by an administrator in your organization in Teams Admin Center. The next is adjusting the SharePoint and OneDrive sharing setting, which I showed you in the SharePoint and OneDrive section. That will prevent guests from downloading or editing editing the shared files. And the third is using conditional access policies, which will restrict the access based on location. So if somebody is coming from a non-approved location or a non-approved device or non-approved IP address, then that will prevent them from accessing that file altogether. So use the combination of these ingredients to answer this question. I know that could be a tricky question. Sometimes you may not be able to articulate it well, but it will, if you articulate it with some of the ingredients which I shared, it shows the depth of knowledge what you have in these particular topic. In the next section, we are going to go through Microsoft Viva. So Microsoft Viva is something Microsoft recently added into the M365 services. This is an employee experience related component which provide a lot of tools within Viva to help employee well-being, learning, knowledge sharing, communication, things like that. So if you are quite new to Viva, I would definitely encourage you to just go through Microsoft Learn to read about what is Viva first. Or maybe you can listen to these 9 questions and then get a good idea about what are the components involved there. Then you can probably go and enhance your learning by reading into that. All right, so let me take you through these questions first. First question, obviously, if you're quite new, it is asking, the interviewer is asking you, hey, what is this Microsoft Viva and how does it improve the employee experience? So it is kind of giving away that Viva is an employee experience related something. So let's populate the answer so that you understand the talking points. All right, first and foremost, Microsoft Viva is an employee experience platform within the Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams that helps the organization with a lot of employee experience related activities. That is something you need to be aware of. Second, how does Viva help? It enhances the communication because there is a component within Viva called, I think, Viva Engage, which allow all the employees to come into a centralized hub for like sharing information that can be used as your centralized hub for company news and updates and things like that. So that's where people can come in and collaborate on things. Similarly, they can get update from a single place. So Viva can definitely help with the enhanced communication. Second, how can Viva help? it can help you with to improve the employee well-being. So Viva offer a solution within that which offers deep insights into work habit of an employee. So are they working overtime? Are they having more meeting than they should have? Are they spending less time doing work related meeting and more time doing internal meetings, things like that? So you can get a lot of metric, and that can help you gauge the well-being, and you get recommendation for how to help that employee and things like that. Or you as an individual user also can use this tool to track your well-being on how you are using your meetings and emails and things like that to improve your work life balance. The next topic is it facilitate learning and development. So there is a component or a platform within Viva which allows you to do that. That is called Viva Learning. So that is where you would be able to host a lot of these content, or you can integrate with other learning sites or other training courses. So you can automatically assign it to a user. They can come and watch a particular training, and you can make it as mandatory, or you can give them enough time to watch the training and submit the survey after the end of the course, things like that. So all of that can be done here. So the point I'm trying to make here is Viva enhance the communication, it improve the employee well-being by giving you that insight. It has a learning and development module which can use to facilitate the training and things like that. The final point is it encourage the knowledge sharing because it uses AI to surface relevant company information and expert on an email or other parts of your work, etc. So the Microsoft Viva is made up of multiple modules I talked about, like which include Viva Connections, and Viva Insights, Viva Learnings, and Viva Engage, and things like that. If you are quite new, I definitely encourage you to click on this link to go and learn about what is Viva and what are the tools available within Viva, etc. So you can see that there is for employee communication communities, we have Viva Connections. For further engagement, we have Engage, we have Viva Amplify. Then there are other tools like Viva Insight, which provide a lot of metric in terms of how much you work, your workload, work-life balance. Viva Glint will give you an ability to send surveys and track that sort of information. Viva Pulse will gain ability to get your team's feedback on particular actions so that you can improve on top of it. And then there is Viva Learning module, which allows you to like publish these courses, which a user can sign up and get access to. So that's on a high level what is Viva and how we can answer that particular question. Let's look at question number 58. A company wants to create a centralized portal where employees can access news, resources, leadership updates directly from Microsoft Teams. Which Microsoft Viva module should they try? If you remember, I just talked about it. Viva has multiple modules. One of the module which you can use is called Viva Connections. When you use Viva Connections, it is going to be a gateway to the employees to get a personalized dashboard, or it has direct integration with SharePoint, so you can share your documents or you can share your intranet content inside the teams and things like that. And you can use that Viva connection for enabling targeted communication as well. So let me see if I can go and find Viva connection in my lab. So if I go to the apps in my teams and type in connections, you can see that I can already find Viva connection. I don't think there is a lot of data in it because it's a lab environment. You can see there is a dashboard of activities which I can see, like what are the recent files I opened, who do I work mostly, and other resources. My Viva connection lacks data because I don't use this demo tenant much apart from this training and things like that. But if I do have a lot of information, then this will be lit up with so much information, insightful information, things like that. All right, so that's how you answer that question. So the correct answer for this question is Viva connection. So let me add that. So I have updated the correct answer with the real answer to the question is Viva connection. But rather than limiting yourself from just saying Viva connections, you can tell that, hey, Viva connections offer these key features. So that's how you can get brownie points. Let's look at question 59. We are doing a deduction here. So which of the feature is not part of Microsoft Viva Insights? So first option is personalized work habit insight and productivity recommendation. Yes, that is a feature of Viva because I talked about Viva Insight giving you that sort of personal recommendation, your work life balance, productivity recommendation, things like that. So that is a feature. Second, employee engagement surveys and a poll creation. That is definitely part of Viva Suite, but it is not part of Viva Insight. That is part of Viva Glint or Viva Pulse, etc. I kind of showed in the first question, wherein you can go and create surveys in Viva Pulse and Viva Glint. So these are the two tools you can use, but not under Viva Insight. The next option, focus time suggestions and reminder for well-being. Yes, definitely that is part of Viva Insight. It provides you an ability to put in focus time in your calendar so that you can really focus on getting things done or doing some work related activities, and it sends you a reminder for well-being activities, things like that. Another thing is it has a manager and team analytics for work-life balance. So if you're a manager, you get deep insight about how your team is tracking in terms of working activities and things like that. So you can use that tool for getting analysis on not only yourself, if you're a manager, to get an idea about your team's analysis, things like that. So which is not part of the insight is, what was it? It is employee engagement survey and poll creation. That is part of Viva Glint or Pulse. Let's look at question number 60. How does Microsoft Viva Learning help organization with employee development? So it kind of testing your knowledge on how much deep knowledge you have on Viva Learning, and can you articulate it well enough to tie that to an employee development point of view within an organization. So that is a quite good question. So let me populate the talking points so that you can help answer that. So first and foremost, Viva Learning integrates your learning and development directly into teams and allowing employees to like find information or content available within your organization for learning and advancement. That is the first point. If you have other learning platforms, I think Viva Learning module will allow you to integrate into third-party learning catalogs as well. First and foremost, when you enable Viva Learning, it helps. These are the points which you need to remember. First and foremost, it helps organization employees to discover and access training courses. Because if you noticed, when I went into my Viva Learning, let me quickly go there. And if I go under Teams and click on Viva Learning, here you can see that if there are any trainings in progress, I can see it here. Any recommendation for me? What are the bookmark courses out of the 1,000 courses available? So if I want to find any particular course for Copilot, I can come in here. I search for Copilot and says that, hey, getting started with Copilot Pro. So I have additional trainings available for Copilot. So I can either assign to me, or once I complete it, I can say that mark it as complete and things like that. I can click on this. It automatically takes you to the course. Of course, you have to sign in to access the course and things like that. So that's quite good. So that's like a catalog which a user can go in and discover within the organization. So that's the first and foremost key point you need to tell. You can discover and access training courses. Second is you can assign and track learning progresses. As an admin, you can deploy a course to a user and tell that, hey, this many users from this department have to complete this particular mandatory training on this specific date. So when you do that, they get a notification. There's a ticker saying that you have to complete this training by so and so date and things like that. That helps the organization with some mandatory training and tracking the progress and things like that. Third, share learning content in Teams, chat, and channels. So this will enable the employees who use this Viva Learning, if they find a good course which they find it useful, they can actually copy the link and sharing with other wider employees as well within an organization. They can use the chat or channels or email to share that link so they other people can also access it. Like I said, the learning system management, it can integrate with other platform like Cornerstone and SAP Success Factors. When you integrate that, your Viva learning module will have all the surveys and things like that. You can find the or you can track the dashboard and everything in a single platform. So use these sort of talking point to explain what is Viva learning. First, it can discover and access training courses. You can assign it to a specific user. Users will be able to share the content via multiple channels. And if you have other learning management solutions, you can integrate that with Viva learning as well.